Hey guys, welcome back to the Kings of Legacy show. Super pumped to have you here with me today. And today's title, Unspoken Resentment, the silent killer in relationships. And I'm thrilled as always to let you know that we fuck small talk and we just dive in on this show. We go straight into the deep water. So we're talking about something that can quietly erode the foundation of any relationship, and it's unspoken resentment. In our last episode, we touched on these moments that seemingly or can seem quite small or trivial, and these small moments and issues that happen, and they can really ignite into some like big disagreements. So like there were things like dirty dishes or the unkept lawn, and what if they were signals for a deeper, more uglier issue that's possibly lurking beneath the surface. And let's talk about that a little bit more. Let's talk about some of the warning signs to look out for, because sometimes, being a man myself, we can sometimes have blinkers on a little bit, and we may miss some signs and some signals and the very early stages of this stuff, and think that, yeah, everything's fine, and all of a sudden like your partner's not fine. So I kind of want to give you a little bit of an understanding and a couple of examples of early stages, things to look out for. And I've broken them up into two main categories. So number one is passive aggressive remarks. And as we go through this today, I really want you to think about the analogy of you're about to cross a road, right? And you walk the road, you get to the road, and what's the first thing you do? Before you cross that road, what's the first thing you do? You'd look one way, and then you'd look the other way. And I want you to think about that as we discuss these examples, just to make sure that you're not only looking at them to see if they're coming your way, but look at them to see if you're sending them their way as well. So make sure you see them from both directions. Really important to have that perspective to fully understand what's going on. So passive aggressive remarks, are they coming at you? Are you sending them? Firstly, I really want to give you the examples around this, because these are the hot buttons, these are the warning signs, and I want to give you a few examples. So I am going to be reading off my screen a little bit here today. The first one is the backhanded compliment. An example of this is, wow, you actually did a good job on this project. I didn't think you had it in you. Ooh, ouch. And just as we go through these, obviously every relationship's a little bit different. And if you have, depending on what your relationship style is like, I've seen very, very strong relationships have a really high banter, and where both people were exactly on the same page with it, and they've been married for 20, 30 years, and they were really in a good place when they were saying things. But that said, these are things just to pick up on if you do not have that relationship. And just be super mindful of, just because you're saying it and you think it's funny doesn't necessarily mean that it's landing that way either. So the backhanded compliment, wow, you actually did a good job on that project. I didn't think you had it in you. Whew, ouch. The silent treatment. So this is like a sigh, like an irritated sigh, followed by complete silence in a response to a question or a comment, or it could be like a huff. So someone's asked you something or said something to you, and you literally don't say anything, and you just huff, or vice versa. Yeah, shoes on the other foot. Have you had that? Have you ever experienced that one? The next one, sarcastic praise. So an example of this is, oh, great job cleaning up. It's almost as good as a professional would do it. Sarcastic praise. Indirect criticism. An example of this is, it's impressive how you can wear anything and still look confident. Indirect, definitely indirect. Sabotaging with a smile. And I'm going to hold my hand up at this one. This is something that I've definitely done before, and it's good having the awareness around it. So sabotaging with a smile. An example of this is, I thought you might prefer doing it your way, so I didn't touch it. It looks like it's going to be interesting. That's an example. Maybe there's different scenarios and different situations, but the one that comes to mind for me is Maddie, my wife, getting stuck into a flat pack from IKEA, and I thought you might prefer doing it your way, so I didn't touch it. It looks like you've got an interesting project on your hands, and like sabotaging with a smile, that's definitely not always going to lead to great communication, is it? Let's be honest, especially if she's not on the right track with it. And then the second part of this is looking out for different forms of emotional withdrawal. So this could be silent treatment. So an example of this could be one person completely refusing to respond to messages or engage in any form of communication with the other one. Is that happening to you? Are you doing that to someone, your partner? The next one is avoidance. An example of this is creating physical or emotional distance, such as like finding excuses not to spend any time together, or like completely avoiding conversations around certain topics. So maybe something gets brought up to you, and then all of a sudden you get up and you walk out and you avoid it. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to have that conversation, or vice versa. It could be happening the other way, obviously. Lack of eye contact. Example of this could be during conversation. If your loved one, or if you're not looking into their eyes, if there's no eye contact happening at all, it could be an early signal of like some form of discomfort, disinterest. It could be a couple of things going on with lack of eye contact. Nonverbal signs of disinterest. An example of this could be disinterest through body language, such as like sighing, eye rolling, dropping the shoulders, huffing and puffing, or appearing distracted when the other person's talking, whether it's like just picking up your phone and just completely not taking on board what the other person's saying. Reduced affection and intimacy. An example of this is withholding affection, like intentionally, you're not giving out any hugs, giving out any kisses, or vice versa, or any form of physical closeness at all. And that is signaling like a withdrawal of emotional connection. And they're the two main topics today, guys. So first up, what we had was the passive aggressive. And then the second one was the emotional withdrawals. I tried to give you a couple of examples today just for things to look out for, whether that's you, whether that's playing out and you're doing some of those. What's going on for you? Are you really happy? Is everything bright as a daisy in the way you're seeing the relationship and in your world? And just as importantly, if not more importantly, from the other side of the fence. So are any of these playing out for your partner, your wife? Are they doing any of these? If they are, these could be signs, early signs, warning signs of deeper things that are actually going on. And they're really, really good things to look out for. And off the back of this show today and off the back of this episode, if you manage just to pick one little golden nugget up, if you've noticed something that you could maybe approach a conversation around. And I don't want to lead you into like, I guess, into a tornado with this one. I don't want you to be like, I know what that one was. That was a backhanded compliment. Or that's the silent treatment, that one. I know that one. It's not about that. If you do pick up on things like maybe you are having less affection and there's a reduced intimacy, it's not about going in there guns blazing. It's about opening the space and holding the space for you and your loved one to have a constructive conversation about what is actually happening. And the way you could bring this up is using the intimacy as an example. You could say, I've noticed we've not really had that connection physically recently, and it's something that is playing on my mind a little bit. And I know I might just be worrying about nothing, but is everything okay your side? I find you really attractive, but it just doesn't seem to be happening at the minute in that way. And I just want to make sure I'm not overthinking anything. Is everything okay? Just holding the space, not going in there like to attack, like, why are we not having intimacy? What is going on? Pointing the finger. Are you going elsewhere? you get the idea, guys. But I just wanted to give you an example of a way to present it if you do pick up on something that doesn't just lead you into World War III. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. I hope you got some form of golden nugget from it. And until next time, remember, fuck small talk. That's what we do on this show. And I'll see you very soon.